Hello everyone, my name is Manav Sharma. As you all might know, I'm me from my Instagram, and we actually started a community for 5 or 6 different things. Mainly, it's vocabulary, design, mentorship, product management, and anything and everything you want to learn. So, corporate vocabulary is something which is not taught to you by anyone anywhere. It's very simple, but it's way too difficult when you don't know how that works. So I won't be teaching you some words. वो तुम like you can always learn them from my books or my documents I have given them. I'll share it also again after this webinar. But the main thing is communication, because corporate communication is a little bit different from normal communication, and it takes a little bit of skill to understand what it's on. The first and the most important thing would be active listening skills. You have learned or heard about this a lot of times, but in corporate, having an active learning skill is a little different. In corporate, we don't, say that you have to be more focused towards people and you have to listen every single word they say. You have to understand the good way of listening or reading is to understand the first and the last word. So, like, if I am saying, like, "Hey, Manav, have you done that touch base meeting that we did on the last? Have you done the touch base meeting we did on the last week?" So, what I would understand is touch base last meeting, last weekend meeting. So, I won't be listening to the whole thing. I'll be paraphrasing, summarizing the main words for that specific query that the person has texted or asked me in verbal. So, and the most important thing in corporate vocabulary is active listening part is asking clarifying questions. If you think that your perspective and you being a junior asking someone who's a senior questions regularly will piss them off, that's completely wrong. If you know how to ask questions, you will always be appreciated for your questions. So it's not like you have to, ping him again and again. Take some questions, like 3 or 4 questions you have collected those. Go when he's free and then ask them. It's the main problem is you'll ask every single question separately. That might piss them off, but yeah, collect the questions and you'll be okay to move on. The next is how to practice active listening skills. So if you have someone in your of flatmate, your housemate or a brother or anything, you can always learn with them. So what there's a small game that we played in our childhood that helped us. It might help you also. This is to understand what we used. We used dictionary for difficult words. So we tend to add difficult words in a complete sentence. What that happened, we had to understand through that sentence what was that word and how what it meant, because sometimes people will use words as ODD or OOT or EODs and stuff, so you won't understand, but you'll understand it through the whole sentence. So that is what active listening works around. So the next one and the most important one is effective verbal communication. So, how to gain that effective verbal communication? So, what is effective verbal communication? First of all, we have to be clear, we have to be concise, and we have to be understanding about what we are trying to say. Speaking fast, speaking slow, that is something you need to understand. A lot of people speak very fast. They think agar they'll speak fast, they'll be more, people will think you are more good at English and you can communicate better if you speak fast. But that's wrong. You have to think it in your mind what you are trying to say. I know that sounds key, it will take a lot of time, but with time you'll understand that this is a process that your mind can do simultaneously while you're talking. So this is how you need to understand that how effective communication will work. So there are techniques to deliver messages effectively. A very good technique that me and my colleagues and my mentors and my mentees do, which is storytelling. So storytelling is something which is used in everything and anything you see in your real life, from movies to ads to corporate vocabularies to talking to your mother to father to talking to your colleagues. You have to understand, even in humor. So if you can, tell a story out of anything, then you are the person people will listen to. And how to tell a story, we'll also have a storytelling masterclass after this in next week or something, but I'll be brief about that here. So what is storytelling? So if I take this phone and someone asks me, how did you buy this phone? I won't say ki, I've worked in corporate and I wanted to do something. I worked in corporate and I, earned money and I bought it. No, this won't give you that, feel and him that feel that this was something cool. because this is an iPhone, and for most of the people who don't buy it on EMIs, this is an achievement for their life, है ना? So what I would do is, yeah, nothing. Yeah, I wanted to do something cool in my life and wanted to have an extra gig. So I wanted to make content. So I worked around day and night, had some freelance, had some fun, and bought the phone. And currently, I'm sitting on over my budget for this phone. But yeah, but I'm happy. So this is something which is known as a storytelling. Sometimes you add some lies, some fun, some humor things into it, which helps incorporate. Because see, no one listens to a boring person. Everyone listens to someone who is actually a humorist. You might have listened a lot of time. Every big guy in companies, like even in Sundar Pichai, everyone knows who is. So Sundar Pichai uses a lot of humor in his talks. There's a reason for that. You have to keep people entertained with you so that they'll understand what you're trying to say. And how to practice this will I'll show you in my masterclass for that. But yeah, if you want to do it yourself, just find random images on Google and make stories out of it. So that will absolutely nail your verbal communication. The one single thing that helps is finding random photos on YouTube or Google or Bing and make stories out of it in English, because our basic level of communication in corporate is English. No matter we have our own personal languages, every Indian knows 2 to 3 languages at least. But we have to understand that corporate works around English right now because we work with foreign clients. Okay, let's move ahead. Non-verbal communication and body language. This is something that we Indians should basically have the best rather from every other country except for Mexico. But I don't know why we don't have. Most of the Indians, we have something which is a head nod, yes or no, and everything. We have hand movements. What we do in regular basis, these things we do in regular basis, talking to our friends, talking to our colleagues and everything. But when it comes to talking to someone who's not, friendlier to you or same age of you, or you know him from before, someone new, or giving a presentation, or making decisions for your company, being with the stakeholders, you get nervous and you don't use your body language. So for everything you do, you need to understand that body languages work. And body languages are very important for 2 different things. One is for your body language. The second one is to understand the person sitting in front of you, his body language. Either he's on a call or in live person. So see, I have something which is I've learned myself is whenever I give a presentation, I'm always looking towards the camera or the person who's sitting in front of me. I understand by their face expressions, their hand movements, are they interested in the topic that I'm explaining? So because in a presentation, there are more than 15 to 20 things that you need to explain, but we won't explain everything. I'm really sorry. No, we won't explain everything. We'll do short explanation for everything. And one or two thing that we think that this might affect the presentation, we explain it a lot. So I see what the person is interested in. Either I'll be a little sneaky and go to the LinkedIn and see what they're interested in. But if I not find that, I'll just use their body language. This is something you need to understand. Giving a presentation, talking to someone, you need to understand how his hand is moving, how his face expressions are. Is he smiling? Is he interested? Is he looking away along like every 2-3 minutes? Then he's not interested. If someone is looking away here or there 2-3 minutes, not interested. You have to understand these body languages. If you want to go deep to body languages, you can just Google different type of body languages in non-verbal communication. You'll have a list of 100 plus, and you can always do that. Techniques for using body language effectively. The main techniques that I already told you, and the credibility, you'll see this results in less than 30 days. If you do it under 30 days, you'll understand how these things work. Let's move on to the next thing. Okay. So this one is important for everyone who is new to corporate or aiming to go to corporate or still having problem with these etiquettes. So written communication, email etiquette. So best practices for email communication is you don't have to see if I'm talking with someone who has mailed me 10 times a day and I'm remailing him 10 times. Not every time you have to write, hope you are doing great, hope you are doing well. These things don't matter. The only thing that matter is at the first beginning of the whole beginning of the thread or beginning of the one mail, which was in the morning, you can write, yeah, hope you're doing great, or this mail is regarding this and everything. After that, be precise. Like if I'm talking to Eileen, she's from China and she's my friend and she's my colleague. So what we do, hi Eileen, as per the last email, yeah, as per our last discussion, that is something I generally use a lot. And the second thing, if I am already mailing her twice or thrice a day, after that, if I am mailing her, what I'll do, I'll put on just this. Hi, Eileen, this is the work I wanted to do. And I'm putting beside the last email so that you can understand both emails separately. So this will create a healthy email etiquette so that people won't have to read every single time, hope you are doing great. If they are replying to your first email, they are doing great. Okay, and the second one is strategies for writing clear, concise, and professional emails. So this is this I actually told you the tips for managing email overload and prioritizing messaging effectively. So there comes a time when you would have a lot of emails, है ना? And you don't know how to reply, when to reply, and who to reply first. So what there is a small method which we use here is effective email messaging. What this means is prioritize the task in the emails separately. Which one is important, which one is not important. We keep a notepad. Even I keep a notepad till date every day. I have an iPad now, so I keep my iPad, but I used to keep a notepad every day. So what we do is we use that notepad. We write down all the important emails and we'll sort by priority. And with priority, we'll send them one by one. Because see, some mails need to be, replied back ASAP, and ASAP is as soon as possible, and some needs to be laid back for some time. So that is something you need to understand regarding emails. Conflict resolution and difficult conversations. So if we are working in corporate, we will have conflicts in a lot of things. We'll have discussions, we'll have arguments, we'll have disapprovements. How to manage these things? So there is a thing which is a constructive management and a non-constructive management. See, people like me or people like a lot of people here, we all have a tendency, we might be short-tempered. Like I am short-tempered. I get angry very easily. But I cannot show that to my clients or my stakeholders or my colleagues because that will affect my whole job. है ना? And that will create a negative impact regarding me to my colleagues and my stakeholders, which will future may affect, you can affect your job. So how to have a constructive disagreement? See, we as humans are born for disagreement. हमें disagreement करना सीखना पड़ेगा. So disagreement is something that we are born with. Humans have the brain, have the tendency to disagree with some things. Animals don't have that. If they disagree, they kill. We don't do that. So how the main strategy is, there's a word known as empathy. A lot of people, you might know what empathy is, but जिनको नहीं पता, empathy is to understanding what the other person is feeling. So how to understand that? See, if there was some code which was to be go on the the production website, and there was some bugs after it went to prod, the product manager would come to a developer and or the team lead and he'll say, Ki, why was this bugs there? Why the QA team did nothing? The QA team would be involved, and in the end, the developer would be called. And if you are the developer, they would be pushing questions on you. See, they will be, this is all your fault, this is your being, but it might be that it was not your fault and the old code and no code didn't combine and the other developer did something wrong. You don't have to blame the other developer. See, the main thing is blaming things on people will always go the wrong way. What you can do is, hi, give me just 15 minutes. I'll go through all the code. What was the problem? What was the issues? And वापस जाओ and make a list of that. Take time. They will give you time if you if you know how to get time, they'll get the time. And 15 minutes, सब दे देंगे. 15 minutes is not much. Take a bullet points of that and go back. 99% of time they'll understand, and उस time तक their anger, their aggression would be gone. If you would have tackled that situation on that specific, same time, it might have ended in they might be scolding you or you might get angry and you won't want to work in anything. So constructively see if the other person is feeling angry, anxious, aggressive, adrenaline is rushing, try to take time. That will help you. But the other person is still calm, you can always have a discussion with him, because there are people who are calm and there are people who are, aggressive. So you have to understand what type of people you are dealing with. This also helps in corporate politics, because politics only happens to those people majorly who either get a lot of salary, they don't do shit, or the third important thing, they don't know how to communicate. Because if you have good communication, you'll have people backing you up. The third one, how to practice this. I would say practicing this is a real life scenario question. You have to understand, you have to practice this with your own people in your own company and see if that works. And I bet it will work. Let's move on to the next topic. Okay. So this is something which is ignored by most of the people in corporate. Even I ignored it for a lot of time. Feedback and performance conversation. See, no matter how good you are at your job, no matter how good you are at communication, even I am good at my communication. I believe I'm good in communication. And take constructive feedback, take toxic feedback. See, what I mean by toxic feedback is there are people who will give you feedback which is not entirely true. But we have seen in our history, if most of people might be Hindu, we've seen our history that the people who gave the most toxic, feedbacks or जिसको हम ताने कहते हैं, है ना? So these things were not entirely wrong. There was something in between them which was actually wrong, है ना? So we have to understand that. Take that toxic feedback also. Find what was actually wrong in you. And see, most of the time, I don't understand why people don't understand that communication is not just, hand movements and talking. Communication is everything from how you behave to how you live to how you eat. That's all communication. And taking feedback for anything and everything is a part of communication. Providing feedback is one thing. You have to provide an actual precise feedback. जब तुम किसी का feedback, whenever you are going for someone's feedback, take that feedback. ठीक है? Go give that feedback with precise accuracy so that that person would be helped. And the most important thing, to be respectful. Respectful communication में अगर तुम respectful नहीं हो, if not respectful in your communication, you're losing. So the next and the last is practice exercises to develop feedback skills. How to develop feedback skills is take a random person. Okay, तुम्हारे office में there might be hundreds of people. Take some random person and think in your mind what would be his feedback. Might be your senior, might be your junior. And if you can effectively create a good feedback form for him, then you have the tendency to understand your own setbacks. And a lot of you here might know your own setbacks just because you are understanding this communication, and that is the greatest thing if you can understand your own setbacks. That is something we all admire. Okay. So this, I was really shocked that no one talks about this also. So this is cross-cultural communication. We in India have thousands of cultures, thousands of languages, thousands of norms, thousands of styles, and how we cope up with that. So if I am from J&K and I'm working in Bangalore, so I'm interacting with people from all over the India or even all over the world. So how to understand? So see, recently I had an interview with a Russian friend of mine. Okay, he's a developer. He lives in Russia. He's born and raised in Russia. Okay, and he has a very thick accent. If you have ever listened to a Russian, you know how thick their accent is. But he still tries to be as polite as possible. But their language seems like they are shouting at you. Their communication, what they say is, this is all they are shouting at you. You have to understand they're not shouting. So everyone has different norms. Like if I talk about, Keralites, they have a tendency to mix their own, language into English. But even though you'll understand everything, but there will be their own taste of language into that, whatever language they'll speak. So this is something you need to understand and approach it with complete honesty. If you're not understanding something, you have to tell them, I'm not understanding this. And see, multicultural teams need to have a communication strategy for effective, good communication. So if you are someone who is in a team which have different type of people, you have to have basic level of non-work communication with everyone in your team who has a different cultural cultural background. If someone is from US and you're from India, whenever there is a meeting, if you get time, you and him come before the meeting, or anyhow you get a chance to talk to him, do some chat or do some communication with him regarding something which is not work. So there is someone known as Tasha in my company. She's from US. She's 58 years old, and I have a tendency to join meetings before it starts. So she has the same tendency, and most of the time we're talking about her kid who she is like 7 years old, or her dogs, or her husband doing a job in US embassy, everything and anything. So this helps me understand what tendency does she has. So you can even do that. So being introvert is an issue. So that's why I always tell you, selectively introvert is good, but don't be a complete introvert. That will affect you no matter what argument you bring in front of me. Let's move ahead. We'll keep it short as soon as possible. This is the greatest and most important thing if you are into product. So if you are someone who's working in any kind of product, you need to have presentation skills. Presentation skills is not to make a great presentation. This presentation was made by one of my friend who is a product manager, and we were teaching it in our own office. So I'm just reusing that because we were teaching the same thing to our office colleagues who don't know how to communicate well. And that doesn't mean you have to have a great presentation which looks great. It should be simple, it should be concise. The main thing is how to actually deliver that. See, a lot of people might have already told you, but I'll tell you again. Whatever you've written in your presentation doesn't matter. Even currently, I'm not reading what it's, I'm just reading the headings and I'm explaining myself. I've not written all the explanation here. You have to understand that explanation is something which we expect from the person who is presenting. We're not expecting to read it from the presentation. And how to explain things, we will go back to the storytelling now. I have, see how I read this, techniques for engaging an audience and managing nerves. So what I read is I need to have some techniques to manage people, है ना? So I'll make a story around that. Ki how would we be managing people in presentation? I'll be presenting in front of 5 people and I'll be seeing everyone how they are working, how they are doing things, so and how they are understanding me. If they're understanding me, if there's any problem, I'll ping him that, are you getting what I'm trying to say, or should I explain it more? So this is something that helps in presentation. How to practice your presentation skills? Join the masterclass like me, have a talk with me. Anything you want to do, you can always do with me. Let's go a step to the next one. Team collaboration. I think this would be the last two. I won't take much of your time, guys. And the second last one is team collaboration and communication. So this is close to what I told you before. Effective communication with team is something which holds you back. If you think that your head is down and you're working 8 hours a day or 9 hours a day or 10 hours a day, and you will get the, you will get the idea of having the best employee and having good hike, and yeah, I'm working, but मैं तो बहुत काम कर रहा हूँ, I'm working good. So that is something you need to understand that no, that's not how things work. Things work is you have to build transparency, you have to build trust with your colleagues, and they'll vouch for you. The day they'll start vouching for you, the day you are successful. And the tools or practices for distributed or remote teams is what we do with our US or Chinese candidates. What we do, we have regular meetings with them regarding how things are going on there, how things have been there, is there been some problem or something like this. These type of questions we usually ask them for a lot of things. So this helps a lot. And the last one, this is for only for those people who wants to become a leader in their job. So if I think most of people here would love to be a leader in future, or they currently are a leader in their job. So see, talking in a good manner is one thing, but talking like a leader or a manager is other thing. See, managers' main work is not to assign work; it's to motivate the person sitting there to work. Because motivation is something we all lack in corporate. So you have to understand that you have to communicate their vision by your words to them. So how that works is, if someone is trying to be a team lead in developer section and he's close, but he's not getting the motivation anymore, or the promotion is not coming, how would you get the extreme amount of work that you have currently in your hand? So how we do that? We go to them, we talk with them like how he has been the person who has been helping us all this time for this project. He started this code, the whole code was started by him and everything. These kind of things help you for driving different strategies for communication, goals and expectation effectively. And this was something which you need to understand. And this, I think this is it for corporate vocabularies, whole communication thing. Now, how will you use all this? The most important, the last question. After this, we'll have some questions from your side if you have. The most important thing, how will you use everything that I just told in your day-to-day life? because in the end you have to use those vocabulary words that I have already shared with you, right? Because that's why you all are here. So those words are just means of communication. I used 3 or 4 words of them in the whole 30 minutes that we've been here. So that doesn't matter. You can always use words which will help you to make people understand what you're trying to say, and you can understand what the other person is saying. But how can we imagine things, and how can we see the things what we are currently imagining in our mind? Because we can imagine a lot of things, but we cannot communicate it. So that is something how we can do is, it's a very simple process. Find someone. Even I have in our community there are sections like chatter or something. Find someone you're comfortable with, have discussions with them, make your own sessions with them. See, we're not kids anymore. You can always create your own sessions. Don't need me or any other admins in here. Make your own sessions, have GDs, group discussions, and anything you want, and that is the only thing that will help you. And take step by step communication. If you want, I would be sending this presentation to you with your certificates after this meeting, like tomorrow or day after tomorrow, and I'll send this presentation so that you can re-go from this presentation only. Take actions, be yourself, and I know you all guys can do it, but the thing is that you have to start somewhere.